Hello and welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig, and you are joining us during our COVID-19 special. And we are so excited to have the star designer, Megan Hopp, join us today. She is the woman behind Megan Hopp Designs. She's offering some special goodies, which we will tell you about towards the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I have to tell you, I watched the show that you won called, I'm going to get it right, Best Room Wins, which was a Bravo series. And I remember watching it and rooting for you to win. You popped off the screen. What was that experience like for you?
Oh my God. Well, thank you, first of all. I appreciate that. It was actually a really positive experience. I have to say that going in, I never, ever thought I would be on a competition show. And the fact that we all didn't need to live in the same house or anything, I was like, oh, okay, I can maybe do this. But yeah, I mean, it was so much more true to life than I ever even expected. I mean, it was like, you have 4 days, go. Everything was moving so quickly. I hardly even remember the process of decision making. It was just we're doing this, let's hope for the best. So yeah, the one thing going in was okay, I just want to at least be true to myself as a designer. And I feel like I did stick to my guns with that. And so I'm really, happy with how it turned out, and also, glad I won.
Yeah. Did you have a sense that you were going to win? Sometimes we have a sense when we're just going to get that win and come in first place.
I mean, I was super satisfied with how the design turned out. And I was like, if they don't like this, then I'm dealing with crazy judges. So it was I actually wasn't so worried, but I also didn't know what my competitor was going to be doing on the other end. And he's very talented. So, but then once I started to hear the judges' feedback, I was like, all right. So,
did that show open up a lot of opportunities for you? I think as a result of the win, you were featured in Elle Decor. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the winner got sort of an online feature. So there was that. And yeah, I think the biggest shift I saw afterwards was that it sort of put this solidified stamp on what my aesthetic is, what I really stand for, and what you can expect, what you can expect from me when you work with me. And so as such, a lot of incoming clients that came in were really fabulous projects, really excellent matches for me. And so that was a really positive, sort of result.
Yeah, it almost can validate one's credentials, even though you had credentials clearly before, and we'll get into that. It's just comforting, I think, when people see an expert on TV or in the media, it just somehow is a stamp of approval almost immediately. You talk about your background, which was not in design. In fact, you have your master's in fine arts from Harvard. You were a theater major, correct? And then there was this shift.
That is correct. It is correct. Yeah. So prior to my design life, I was in the theater world, but I was always doing theater that was sort of experiential and experimental, and I wasn't just a performer. I was designing the sets and making the costumes, and it always was a real full-fledged vision for me. So design was always a huge part of it. And then, the other part of my life was that I was obsessed with interior design, and I, sort of just naturally shifted into doing that kind of work. But absolutely, my background and my education, I mean, as you can see on Best Room Wins, my designs are not mild. One might even call them theatrical, but, tasteful, I would like to say.
Yeah, experiential. I want to say, just as a therapist perspective, when I look at the rooms that you've designed, and we're going to be showing our audience just the photos, which are extraordinary, they really induce a feeling of calm. I don't know if that was your intention. I mean, in addition to being beautiful, it just evokes a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that is 100% the goal. It's all environment based. It needs to be that it creates sort of a sense of self and a sense of comfort and a sense of motivation and energy. Like, space has purpose, and if it's not doing all those things, then I'm not doing my job right.
So are you happy with the shift that you made professionally, or do you still want to act in some way, or is there a way to do both?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think all creatives, no matter what field you're in, like, the greatest gift is agency, sort of being able to like call your own shots creatively and create your own work and sort of create your own path. And, so this business that I put together in the world of interior design has been like so fruitful and like such a fit for me. I do still perform now and again. I have like a cabaret ego, or alter ego, I should say.
Will I get an invitation? I want an invitation.
For sure.
Okay. All right. Good. Now I feel satisfied. Well, clearly we have moved into unprecedented times. We are experiencing a global pandemic, which means that people are sheltering in all around the world. And I read that one of the stocks that has gone up, I don't know if it's stocks or just in terms of sales have gone through the roof, is Wayfair, and they sell, I'm sure you know, I don't know if our audience knows, they sell a lot of online furniture and artwork and just things for one's home. We're kind of stuck in our homes now. And I think that we are experiencing where we live in a very, very different way, even though it's always important. We now want where we live, where we're spending 24/7, to feel as nice as possible. What are you hearing from your clients? I'm sure people are reaching out to you. What are you noticing right now?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely been a time of, I've had this on my list forever, and now I'm stuck in my home and I'm staring at this same problem, minute after minute, day after day, and like, now is the time to tick those items off my list. So whether they're things that are more like upkeep and maintenance, like painting your baseboards, or, sort of like refresh things, all the way up to, hey, like, I've been wanting to redecorate my bedroom, and like, now is the time, like, let's do it. So it is a pretty wide spectrum of like what I'm getting requests for. But I do think that people who were able to kind of just like ignore their home because they were on the run and not there very much are now really faced with, okay, this could be my environment for a while. How do I make it as me as possible? And, to our point earlier, as sort of like comforting and soothing, and, sort of like helpful as possible.
So one of the things that I did is we were having a lot of family dinners in our kitchen, and both my kids are home. So they're a little older, 20 and 17. And we had this like old kitchen table that was okay, if it's just two people hanging out there every now and again. But to have a family dinner, we really wanted to have a space that just felt really nice and modern. So we just totally got rid of our old, table and chairs, got something new, and it feels kind of nice now to sit in that space. What are you recommending people do to change and tweak their space? Because right now finances is also a concern. People are losing their jobs. They want to be thoughtful about their finances, yet they're working from home. What do you recommend? What are some small things people can do that are not expensive, that can give them a new emotional experience about where they live?
Yeah, so let's begin without spending any money at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I see why you're engaged. Your fiance must love that.
Oh, yeah, no. The first thing I would do is I would sort of like reassess what you can do with the furniture you already have. So if you have any flexibility to switch up your layout, to rearrange things, feel out different sort of combinations, that's a great great place to start. You also can do that with smaller decor items. Try hanging your art in different places. Rearrange your bookshelves and style your tabletops differently. You know, sort of use what you have in a way that's different than what you've been doing, you know, for the past year or however long. The other really sort of fun thing I'm kind of suggesting to people is to create like mini environments in their home that they wouldn't have, you know, on a normal Tuesday in a normal world. So creating sort of like a special reading nook that's sort of, you know, tucked in your dining room corner or something with stacks of books everywhere, or, you know, trying to eat dinner at your coffee table on pillows, or, you know, just different ways to sort of use your home to switch it up so it's not like the same thing every day.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. In fact, I have a piece of artwork that I'm not really loving, but maybe instead of getting rid of it, just seeing if it works somewhere else is what your recommendation would be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have some questions that our audience asked us. Is there any place that you would recommend we buy from to spruce up our spaces? Or is there any trading that can be done right now?
Yeah, so I definitely, you know, the sentiment is on everyone's mind right now. Obviously, small businesses are taking a huge hit. So Etsy is an incredible resource for home decor items and, you know, just like a world of small businesses to tap into. I think sometimes Etsy, if people are not familiar with it for sort of shopping for home decor items, assumption might be that it's a little kitschy, a little crafty, but that's so not the case. Beautiful vintage stores, custom upholstery, you know, like just really excellent artisans have Etsy shops where, you know, they might also have their own sort of online businesses or even brick and mortar stores, but Etsy is just like a great way to get more of their product out there. So like cannot recommend that enough. And then the other thing I would say that's also sort of a good trick to finding kind of like great items beyond your sort of standard, you know, stores, which are great. Wayfair, free shipping is like great, you know, but I would say following designers on Instagram or Pinterest who you like their spaces, you like their style. Often those designers, either on their social media or on their websites, they have shop pages. You know, I have a shop section in my Instagram where you can see all my favorite table lamps, all my favorite area rugs. And so it's just sort of a great little route to have that curated suggestion list.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. We should be cleaning out our clutter. It's very overwhelming for many of us, including myself.
Yeah.
Is there any strategy that you recommend that can help it feel less overwhelming?
You know, I mean, this isn't like the most sort of like complex magical answer here, but start small. You know, if you're not somebody who inherently enjoys cleaning and organizing, don't overwhelm yourself by saying, I'm going to organize this entire room today. Start with just the cupboard underneath your sink, then move to the cutlery drawer or something like that, and build on that. And I will say, I do think it's a slippery slope, and it's one of those things that once you start to pick up speed, like your interest in getting into the groove of it is, you know, like grows significantly. But yeah, you know, sort of set those smaller benchmarks in the beginning, and it's okay if you don't like go for the whole enchilada right at the beginning.
For those of us who are living in smaller spaces, and I almost feel like it doesn't matter what size house or apartment you're in, like people tend to fill it up with stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on how to stay clutter-free in general? Is there like some kind of strategy, like throw out things once a month?
So my number one rule is always like, don't have multiples of things. And I think that that's a trap that we all fall into. But like, you really don't need like 6 pairs of scissors. You probably only need 1, maybe 2 if they're very different and used for very different things. So yeah, I mean, think about what you're using on the daily. It's, you know, the philosophy is said often in regard to our closet of like, what do you actually wear? Like pull out what you actually wear. Same goes for all your stuff. Obviously there are sentimental items, there are seasonal items, and, you know, I'm not being unrealistic about that, but time and time again, if we look at what we're actually sort of like interacting with on a daily basis, it's pretty minimal, and we do sort of our favorite things. And beyond that, you don't need a ton.
It's really true. It's a hard mindset to get into for certain people who are kind of like more is more, but it always feels so good to make one space organized. And I think an organized space is a happy space.
Yes.
You talk about just designing as something that's very intimate. And I just thought that was so beautifully said, because when you invite somebody into your home, it's very revealing, and sometimes revealing in a way that, that feels uncomfortable. How do you recommend making a person feel comfortable with that process?
So, I mean, this is the thing that when I speak to other designers and sort of, I've, helped sort of greener designers deal with like client relations and those initial consults before. And the thing I always say to them is like, look, these clients are putting themselves in a very vulnerable position to just like let you into their physical space. And then B, I mean, they're letting you in because they're admitting that there is something that is not working for them, that they want to improve upon. They're not letting you in to brag, So, so the question I always lead with is sort of like, what do you love? What is working for you? Because there has to be something in this home that feels like a good fit. And even if it's just like, I like my cereal bowls, or I like, this coaster that I found on vacation or something, that's always like really helpful to connect to a client on. So I think that my advice to a client would be really take stock of, what gives you that emotional energy? Like, what are you attracted to? What in your space do you want to see more of? And then when you meet with a designer, just know that like, unless they're unreasonable, they're not there to judge you. They're there to help you create a space that is an extension of you. And if you can come in with the confidence of being like, hey, I've got these three things, I really like them, like, let's work from there. You're bringing something to the table, and that's really helpful for a designer.
As such great advice. One of the things that we've been seeing a lot recently, because so many people are sheltered in and doing interviews like you and I are both doing from our homes or from a family's home. And a lot of the anchors we get to see in their home environments, or reporters we get to see in their home environments. And it's attracted a lot of attention. People are really curious. Why do you think this is?
Oh my gosh, I love it too. I'm so into seeing everybody's kitchen and bookshelves and all these things. It's great.
And how about Anderson Cooper? Oh my God, like his home. I was like, well, you go, Anderson.
Yeah.
With that hunter green. I like it.
Yeah. Not surprised that there's a lot of chicness happening there. So, I mean, I think the reason why is because, to what we were speaking to just prior to this, like your home is such an extension of you, and it's really, really personal. And so we're getting this like never before seen glimpse into people's like personal lives. And I think that it also just, especially given the gravity of this moment that we're in right now, it just really like breeds this connection with these people that we've maybe only seen on the screen before. And you really feel like, they're being vulnerable in that regard and sort of opening themselves up to you. And it just, I think it sort of like, it grows this connection and this investment in them. And I don't know. I mean, I just feel like once I've seen someone's kitchen, I care a lot more, So
yeah. No, it's more information. You're right. It's like seeing a personal aspect of their lives that we would not get to see otherwise. And I also think as well, since so many people are doing like virtual happy hours, they're doing it from their homes, that when we're watching the news, it almost feels no different. So it's like we are not only all in the same boat, but it seems like we're seeing each other through the same window lens, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just so unprecedented, and like in some ways bringing us closer, and in other ways, we're all just dying to get out again.
Yeah, exactly. That's true too. I feel like this week I'm on house arrest. That's how I feel.
It comes in
What's
for sure.
in home design right now?
Sorry, say that again.
What's trending in home design right now?
So I will say that we are leaning more into color, into pattern, into a more sort of rich traditional aesthetic than say the couple years prior where everything was like white walls and super minimal. It's definitely sort of hearkening back to those more sort of hardy silhouettes and layered pieces and rich textiles. So I mean, for me, I'm so excited about it because I will push wallpaper on anyone I meet, but it's like the fight is becoming a little less and less. People are like, oh yeah, I don't think I would mind if I had lemons all over my walls or whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, because for a while it was very like gray and minimalistic. And in some cases, homes started to look like each other. Like it wasn't so individualistic. As much as I like. And your designs are certainly individualistic, which is why I am so excited to help our audience know that you are offering a new and exciting service during this time, which is virtual design. And people can find it on your website, meganhopp.com, and we will have a website so people can find you. Tell us about this new service and what it costs and what people can get.
Yeah, so I obviously am not able to go out like the rest of us, and so in my sort of life previous to this, like a significant amount of my time is spent on project sites, and I'm running around from one client to another. So I haven't had the opportunity to kind of take on smaller jobs previous to now. However, with all this time spent, in office, I have this opportunity to kind of work with sort of a wider spectrum of clients. And as such, I've decided to offer a new service that I've been doing for like the past 3 weeks called a virtual consultation. And now it's a single hour with me. We do a video walkthrough of your home for about 30 minutes. We chat about what you're looking to do, what you're hoping to see, where you're stumped, you just really show me your space. And then I follow up with some solutions and answers and a little sourcing, floor plans, mood board, whatever is specific to what you need. And it's great. It's only $150, so that's really affordable. Often designers, just logistically speaking, have these sort of budget and time minimums for projects because they just have to have a functional business. So it's opened up this new wave of clients coming in who just had a few burning questions they really needed to chat through and get some advice on, or maybe were just curious about working with a designer but weren't really ready to pull the trigger yet, and this is a good introductory to them. So it's been super popular. Like the feedback has been great. It's been working out really well. I've been able to sort of produce some really helpful work for clients. So I'm really pleased with it, and I'm really excited about it.
I am so thrilled. I feel like I want to benefit from your services. We should do a before and after.
Yeah.
And then have you, when this is all over and I'm back in my studio in New York City in Times Square, you'll come on set and we'll reveal to the audience a before and after through your perspective and your vision.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
I would love that. Thank you so much for joining us. We will have all of your information so people can find you. And thank you for your stellar and artistic advice. And stay well, stay home, and look forward to seeing you in person when this is all over.
You as well. Thank you so much.